Happy little trees.
What brush is that?
I sacrificed my ear for my art.
What brush is that?
Took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child.
What brush is that?
Whose bird is this? I'm so sorry, he's my bird. If he hears me say something too many times, he starts repeating it.
Alexa, play Who Let the Dogs Out.
I've never said that.
Woof, 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 woof.
I've never said that.
Woof, 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 woof. Woof, 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 woof.
Hi. I learn a lot from online art tutorials.
Just shade in the bottom of the arm, just like this.
Okay, I go like this and... what brush is he using?
The brush you're using doesn't matter.
I want to step in here for a second.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I could swim through them like Scrooge McDuck.
It matters. It really matters. If you're just learning and following along while someone is painting and your work is not turning out nearly as good as what you see on your screen, you're left wondering, is it my skill that's making it look bad, or is it the tool that I am using? If I know what brush it is, at least I can eliminate that factor. Then I would know, hey, it's me. And 50% of the time, it is me.
90%.
I do understand where artists are coming from. That question pops up a lot in the comment section of my videos and every artist and illustrator's video. Brushes have different attributes. So when an artist says your brush doesn't matter, what they really mean is as long as the brush you're using has the right attributes, then the specific brush you're using doesn't matter. Quick note here, I'm talking about digital art brushes. Ah, dang it. Not real art brushes. These are the kind of brushes that you find in apps like Photoshop or Procreate or MS Paint, I guess. These apps may have hundreds and hundreds of brushes, but they all are using the same attributes. They're just mixing them up and tweaking them in different ways. So today we're gonna peel it all back. We're getting super simple. We're gonna really narrow it down. I think if you learn these 4 brushes, jumping to the thousands of others that are out there, it's gonna be a lot easier. Mr. Pickles, take us to that list.
Number 1, the pencil brush.
I start all my drawings with a pencil sketch. Nowadays, I do that digitally. And that's why I start with a pencil brush first. When you think of a pencil sketch, you're probably thinking of that pencil texture. I think that's the least important part of a pencil brush. The pencil's real superpower? Laser eyes. No, not laser eyes. The pencil's real superpower is the ability to get darker as you make more lines, go over the same line multiple times. The opacity of many pencil brushes is set to less than 100%. So when I start a sketch, I'm just figuring things out. I'm thinking, I'm finding shapes, deciding the scale of something, like how big is my head compared to the body, where is the background going? And as those things start to make sense, I end up going over the lines that I want to keep or emphasize over again. And as I do that, those lines get darker, they get more defined, and as I keep sketching and sketching and sketching, the noise and chaos of that early sketch starts to emerge. You start to see a picture. And that's where a pencil brush is really good.
My texture looks cool too.
Yeah, but the texture doesn't matter that much, at least not for sketching. If you want to make a rendered pencil drawing, then yes, absolutely, it is fantastic. But that's not really my focus here today. Hey, these sketches that I'm working on, these are from my 2 latest courses. One of them teaches you how to sketch and draw in 60 days. Every day, there's a new lesson, you'll learn something new, and you slowly build on it over the course of 60 days. The other is about how to get started in digital art. How do you take those sketches and bring them to life and paint on top of them? And the brushes that I'm going over today, yeah, those brushes, they're the basic ones that we use in the class. So if you want to do a deeper dive into all the things we're talking about today, there are some links and some discount codes down below in the description that you should check out for more information.
Number 2, inking brush.
I love me a good inking brush or a good line art brush. For me, the ability to control the width of my line based on how hard I am pressing down on my pen or stylus is what I'm looking for here. A tiny bit of pressure, I'm gonna get a really thin line. As I apply more pressure, the line gets thicker. And you see this kind of line art everywhere. You're gonna see it in your favorite animations. You're gonna see it all the time in comic books, in children's books. You'll see it all over the place. These pens work like old school fountain pens, but they're a lot harder to break. These inking brushes or line art brushes usually don't have any kind of transparency. What you're looking for is that width control. What I really like about these is that I don't always have to jump over to the settings or use a keyboard shortcut to constantly be changing my brush size to make it go up or down whenever I want to vary my stroke a little bit. Or if I want to get a little more nuanced, I can start that line really thin. As I go, I can get thicker and let it taper out more towards the end. This is great for making a character stand out. I can make their outlines thicker, or maybe I want my backgrounds to show some depth of field, so I'm going to make the lines that I'm using there a little thinner. Now, what I tend to use are brushes with really clean, slick, smooth lines. But that doesn't mean your inking brush has to be super crisp. Your inking brush can also have some texture to it. And once you get a feel for this sort of brush, you can experiment with all of the other inking brushes that are out there.
Number 3, airbrush.
Airbrushes are often used when you don't have outlines, or you want to color in a solid area and add some more nuanced colors. A lot of illustrators like to play with hard edges and soft edges. The airbrush is really good at giving you that soft edge. And the bigger you make your airbrush, the longer and wider that soft edge is going to be, the more gradual it is going to get. And unlike the inking brush we just talked about, as you add more pressure, you're going to get more paint coming out of your airbrush. And there are so many uses for this brush. When it's smaller, it is great for blending and mixing colors. When it gets bigger, it's great for filling in larger shapes or adding just a slight gradient. I love making this brush really big and then creating a new layer, taking a bold color and just throwing it in over that layer. Play around with some of the layer styles or the opacity, and you can get some really interesting things going on. Some extra color to make the core colors that you already put down pop. So much fun.
Number 4, opacity brush.
In a lot of apps, this is called the hard round brush and is one of the most popular painting brushes in the universe. That's a bold statement. The main attributes you look for in a brush like this is the ability for that brush to add more opacity as you apply more pressure to your stylus. Press light, a little bit of paint comes out. Press hard, a lot of paint comes out. Now, what I use this mainly for is coloring in my line work. And if I want to mix some colors up, say I add a solid color and I want to grab something else and move it in, I can start like applying it harder on one side and then start to loosen up on that pressure to make it blend a little bit more on the other side. This is also used a lot in artwork that doesn't have any kind of outlines to it. Unlike the airbrush, this is going to give you that hard edge. Sometimes you really want to get in there, define the sides of that brush a little bit, get some like hard color going against another color to really differentiate two different objects. And a ton of the special painting brushes that you're going to see out there are basically hard round brushes, with some bells and whistles added. It might have some kind of texture applied to it, or it might vary the opacity in different ways. This brush is for oil painting. It's got that cool oil painty looking texture, kind of like real paint. But at the end of the day, it works a lot like that hard round brush. It's just got an extra texture to it.
In conclusion,
There's so many brushes out there. Watercolor, gouache, floral brushes, crazy textures. That one that makes it look like a unicorn exploded. But if you can practice with these first, get familiar with them, get to the point where these feel like second nature to you. When you start using all those other brushes, it's going to feel so much more natural. Or you can use these to get the core of your painting down and then use those other brushes just to add texture for some extra pop afterwards. If you're just learning to draw and you want to check out some of my other content, I'm going to link some of my favorite videos on this channel right here. Check those out. And as always, if you have any tips or just want to let me know what you're thinking right now, there's a comment section down below. Hit me up. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you later.